My husband was warm and funny and beloved by everyone who knew him, and then we would come home and he would disappear into a silence I could never explain or fix. I spent 2 years being told I was imagining things, right up until his own messages proved otherwise. Everybody loved Marcus. At parties, he was charming and warm, the kind of man who remembered everyone's name and made each person feel like the most interesting one in the room. By year 3, I just felt the gap between who he was out there and who he was when we got home. At home, Marcus was somewhere else, barely present, answers in half sentences, a quiet that had nothing peaceful in it. When I brought it up in couples therapy, he would get this look, patient, a little sad, and tell the therapist that I struggled with anxiety, that I sometimes created problems where there weren't any. The therapist would nod, and we would spend the hour helping me sit with uncertainty while Marcus drove us home looking relieved. For almost 2 years, I almost believed I was the problem. I had joined a fitness class the previous spring mostly because I needed somewhere to be that wasn't our apartment. I met a woman named Bria who knew nothing about Marcus, nothing about my marriage, nothing about the story I had been living inside. She just saw me. One evening she said, "You apologize a lot for things that aren't your fault." No agenda, no history, just someone seeing me with completely fresh eyes. At girls' night 2 weeks later, my best friend finally asked the question she'd been holding back. "Are you actually okay? Not performing okay, actually okay?" I opened my mouth to say yes, nothing came out. That same week I found the messages. He had been telling his friends for over a year that I was unstable, paranoid, hard to live with. The exact same words he used in therapy, assembled into a story he had been quietly spreading while I sat across from him trying to fix my own perception. His own screenshots dismantled everything he had built. I had stayed because being alone had always terrified me. But somewhere between Bria's fresh eyes and my friend's honest question, being alone had started to sound like the most peaceful thing I could imagine. I left on a Sunday, no announcement, no scene. I am learning slowly that a room with just me in it is not empty. It is finally mine.